Hey everybody, Ethan here. Today is a special day, not just Cinco de Mayo, but I have today 3 years of sobriety, 3 years of uninterrupted sobriety from alcohol and drugs. Has it been easy? The first year and a half, I would say no, but has it been worth it? Absolutely. Um, I had some challenges in the beginning of my sobriety. Finding employment was one because I had done audiovisual work for so long. For 10 years, I was self employed. I was on the road a lot, or I was doing corporate events. But none of what I did in that line of work transferred over to the civilian world. And so that was kind of a challenge. And then when I got sober, a lot of people about 6 months, 9 months, they start to feel really good. I didn't. I still felt very off. Things just weren't making sense. I couldn't regulate my moods. I couldn't sleep. There was just a lot going on, and they kept trying these different medications on me, and some of them made me very edgy and agitated me, and some of them made me really sleepy. And my girlfriend Lisa, she talked me into getting a neurological psych evaluation, and I set up the appointment to do that, and they shuffled their feet on the referral, and by the time the referral got through, my insurance canceled and I couldn't afford to pay for it out of pocket. I got insurance again, and finally at 2.5 years sober, I did this neurological psych evaluation, and I did 3 hours of testing, and I waited and waited and waited for the results, and my girlfriend was more proactive about it than I was. She was like, "Hey, what's going on? Why haven't you gotten your results?" Well, I finally got in touch with them, and they said that the results came back inconclusive and that I needed to do another hour and a half of testing. So I did that, and it turns out that I have autism spectrum disorder, level 1, along with my ADD, which I already knew I had. And they also said substance abuse, alcohol abuse disorder, severe but in remission is how it was worded. But anyway, finding this out about myself was an absolute game changer and helped my sobriety. And I thought about this and I was like, wait a minute, I went 45 years. Well, at that time it was 44 years. But anyway, 44 years undiagnosed with this. And I still managed to be self employed for 10 years. And I managed to learn 3 different combat sports. And I managed to travel. I've been in 9 different countries in 21 different states. I managed to learn a second language. That to me, it was a confidence booster. It was a strength builder. Like I knew at that point, mate, I'm not fucking stupid by any means, and that I can make shit happen. You know what I mean? And now knowing that I have this autism spectrum disorder, I've done my research on it, and there's certain behaviors of mine that make sense now. Like some of you that may have met me recently may have noticed that I don't make a lot of eye contact, and it has nothing to do with confidence. I have a lot of confidence. It's just eye contact freaks me out. It's not from childhood trauma, it's the autism. Um, and when I realized that I had this disorder and that it was going to affect me in a way that would make me socially awkward, I could now own it. I'm no longer self-conscious about it. I know that that's just who I am, and I am okay with it. And everyone that is in my new circle of life seems to also be okay with it. Now, I don't want to make this video too long because I don't want to bore you guys. But anyway, there's been a lot of self-discovery with this 3 years of recovery, and a lot of growth and a lot of change and a lot of confidence boosting. And at about a year and a half of sobriety, one of my biggest worries was, am I ever going to be that happy-go-lucky social butterfly that I used to be now that alcohol's not in the equation? And a person who was a very good influence on me recently that proved I could do this was my friend Vince Rizzi. Vince has been sober for, I think, over 10 years now, and he's a fucking big goofball, and we all love him for it. And I'm like, well, I can do this too, man. I can say fuck the fatness and dance and make silly songs and just be funny and be social and just be who the fuck I am. And so I want to thank Vince for helping me come out of my shell a little bit. And I wanted to thank my new friends I've made recently for just accepting me the way I am and being okay with me not drinking and never trying to pressure me into it. And none of you have. In fact, I was at an event, I was at Walter Studios. And I'll get into this story a little bit more in depth in a second. But I ran into a friend named Josh. And he used to be a teacher at the School of Rock, so that's why he was there. And he was drinking, and he said, hey, I'm sorry to be drinking in front of you. And I said, dude, you don't have to be sorry to be drinking in front of me. Just because I had a problem with alcohol does not mean you did. And it is my job, my responsibility to manage my recovery and my cravings and my triggers and my urges, and I can do that. That doesn't mean I'm going to go hang out at a bar. I've got no business hanging out at a bar. There's an old saying in the rooms of AA, you don't go to a whorehouse to read a fucking newspaper. You just don't. But anyway, so back to this Walter Studios. My old Muay Thai trainer, if I were to ever train again for a fight, which I don't think I ever will, but if he's still my trainer. But the guy that I used to train at his gym all the time, Seton Gym, Thiago Azeredo, him and his ex-wife have 2 sons, both autism. One is a great musician and the other is a great artist who makes his own puppets. And his ex-wife, Kristen, who's my friend as well, she invited me out to see Octavian play. And she'd shown footage of him playing at a different event, and they covered Joy Division and The Cure, and my mind was blown. I was like, dude, those are 2 freaking bands that I still love and that I loved as a youngster. And some of the first songs I learned how to play on bass were The Cure. And I was so proud of this little man who's got, autism, and he's killing it with his music. And so I went to go see him perform. And she was supposed to let Thiago know that I was going to be there, and she didn't. And Thiago was just like shocked to see me. And he's like, what are you doing here? And I said, dude, I came here to watch your son rock. And he got up there and he did a Nirvana song. I'm trying to remember what the name of the song was. It was off the Bleach album. But anyway, I was so proud of him. And seeing him up there was kind of a victory for me too. And when I was his age, when I was a little kid, I loved music. I escaped with music. That was my go-to. That and BMX and skateboarding. And we didn't have a School of Rock when I was that young, nor did we have a Muay Thai gym. So we've got a School of Rock, and Chandler, Arizona has the best Muay Thai gym, in my opinion, in the state, that's owned by Octavian's dad. And I get to talking to Thiago, and he goes, yeah, he's also obsessed with dinosaurs. And I said, that's hilarious, because I'm a grown-ass man, and I still collect dinosaurs. And then I found out his younger son makes his own puppets. And I'm like, dude, I collect puppets. I got all these random, puppets. I've got Jim Henson galore at my house. And it just kind of made me realize, how much a lot of us really are more connected than we really are. Or it made me realize how much more connected we are than we realize. I hope that came out right. But anyway, and then go to find out that one of my songs I had written was for a band called Miles to Nowhere. And the bassist was a teacher also at the School of Rock. So she's helped a lot of kids that maybe they are on the spectrum, maybe they have learning disabilities, and music is their go-to, their escape. So she's a hero too, And okay, as part of my ADD and autism, I don't maintain, I get derailed with my thoughts. So I'm starting to lose my train of thought here. But recently I was let go from a job. New management took over and fired all of us OGs. And I didn't get stressed like I'd done in the past and woe is me and it's the end of the world. I was like, you know what, I'm going to utilize this time and I'm going to relax and I'm going to find out what I really want to do. waiting on truck driving school. I have a job to fill the void until then, but I was bored and I was joking around with this guy, Jesse Yonkers, and another friend of mine named Warren Gant. I was like, yeah, I'm thinking about doing this Wesley Willis tribute project and just keeping it about local bands. And they both said, don't talk about it, just do it. So I got on Facebook Marketplace and I bought a $50 keyboard, and I was just going to make 3 songs. That was it. And a lot of other people liked it more than I did. And so I said, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to do a few more songs. And now I've got 8 of these crazy Wesley Willis tribute songs. And one of them got over 1,000 views on Facebook. The third song that I did, which was a tribute to the Syndicate out of Tucson, got over 500 views. And they invited me out to go to their show in Tucson. And I went. And it was a great experience. I met the whole band. They gave me a shirt. They were very happy to meet me. And I'm going to go see them in another 2 weeks in Tucson. And it was just a really cool experience. I've gotten to know those guys. They're great guys. And I hope they tour soon, man. They're that awesome. But I mean, every band that I've done a song about is great in their own way. And most of the bands I've done songs about, I have a story about them because I've met them. I've socialized with them. I got over my mental barrier of, I've got to be this uptight, sober guy. And I just go up to them and I compliment their music and I shake their hands and I hug them. And it's been a really magical, that might sound weird, but it's been a magical experience. And I just want to say that if any of you are struggling, don't be afraid to get help. And don't be afraid to get a neurological psych evaluation. Don't be afraid to see a therapist. Don't be afraid to get medicated. Sometimes it takes a while to find the right medications for you, and that's the biggest bitch of it. But now I am on the lowest doses of an ADD medication, and then a medication that helps with my depression and my impulse control, and they don't zonk me out. I feel like how I think I should feel. I think I finally have a baseline because I didn't know what my baseline was for so many years. But anyway, thanks for letting me rant, and I'll talk to you all later. Bye.